If you find yourself with a little more time on your hands lately, you might want to challenge yourself with a new creative hobby. Have you ever tried weaving? I absolutely love weaving. It's so relaxing, and the results are beautiful things that you can decorate your home with. So before we jump in and start weaving, let me give you a tip on how you can make your very own loom. This is basically a lap loom. It means that you could put it on your knees and weave, maybe even while you're watching TV. So it's determined really by the finished size. So I've got these two side struts here and the ends. The weaving will fit within this kind of area. So that gives you an idea of the scale. Now this is pine, just use offcuts, whatever you've got. And then if you've got a drill handy, just pre-drill, it makes it easier when you're screwing in, and just put a screw into each of the corners. Right, frame's built. Your loom will need strings. You'll need to have nails on either end to hold the strings. So grab a ruler and measure. I'm going for 10mm spacings. That's a fairly tight weave. Now you want to make sure that you're truly accurate with your measuring on both sides, otherwise you'll end up with wonky strings, and nobody likes wonky strings. Bullet head nails are the best ones to use for this, and then to save your fingers, grab a pair of pliers and make sure you hold the nail in the same position every time. And then if you hammer down, once it reaches the side of the pliers, you'll find that all of your nail heads will be in a row. Nice and consistent, keeps things neat. Okay, so don't judge me on my nailing job. It might not be the prettiest, and certainly my neighbours might not be the happiest by now, but this is the basics for a loom, so with the string, we can start work. To string the loom, you can use pretty much anything you've got, but can you note here that I'm actually putting quite a lot of tension onto it, so that makes my strings taut, which makes it easier to weave. With your loom built, now you can start adding the colour. These days there are so many different beautiful yarns to choose from, so just pick a favourite, and then you'll need to start with a bobbin. Easy enough to make. Grab a paint stirring stick, just cut a notch out in the top and also in the bottom, and you'll end up with this, which is what you wind your yarn around. Leave a fairly long tail, the width of your loom and a little bit more, and then starting on the outside, it's a simple process. It's over, under, over, under. Then you can pick it up and turn it round and go back the other way. So with this little tail bit on the end, just secure it just by tucking it under, and you can actually weave that into the work at the end. So that's the first row of your weaving done. It's called the foundation line. You need to have a nice, strong, straight foundation because that gives you something to tie it off with later. I'll show you how to get it off the loom soon. But for the other end, just unravel a couple of lengths and then go back the other way. So when you pull on your threads, don't pull it so hard that it will actually distort like that, because it'll give your weaving a funny shape. So just make it nice and straight. And then to push these threads down, get yourself a plastic hair comb. That does the trick nicely. And look at that, it just pushes those threads into place. To create textured tassels, what I've got here are 5 shorter lengths of the yarn. So you find the middle point and just straddle it across 2 of the strands, wrap it around one of them, loop it up and over again. Do the same on the other, and then very gently just pull toward you, and it locks it in place at the bottom. It's a really nice way to add texture to your weaving. I love the idea of weaving with this thick, chunky yarn because it really bulks up the weaving and also adds a nice bit of colour, and it makes it fast. So because you can't fit this all onto your bobbin, you're going to have to do it by hand. So cut off a long length, then start at the end, just wrap it around a couple of times so you can tuck it at the back. Then jump over 3 strands. And after you've gone over those 3 strands, just over and out through the top and just pull it very gently. You don't want this to be tight at all. You can see I'm working at this slight angle. That just allows it to be loose, and then I grab my comb, just push it down just gently, and it forms like a nice braid. It's really chunky and beautiful. In essence, that's how you weave, and I think this is a really good size to start off with. It certainly gets you into the craft. But if you get ambitious and you want to go bigger and perhaps create a wall hanging that's large, you can scale it up and do something as big as this or even larger. The part that tends to worry people most is not so much the weaving, it's the getting it off the loom. So let me show you. With that first string, just take some scissors and snip that. And then with the other two further along, just lift them over the tops of the nails and just tie them together in a double knot. And then keep working along in pairs all the way to the end. That way everything will be tied off securely. To be able to turn it into a wall hanging, you will need a stick at the top. You could use dowel, whatever works. Just take off all of the strings and let them fall through to the table and just tie them in pairs just like we did for the base. Then you can simply tie them around the stick and it's ready to hang.